Hi there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. In this video I'm going to be seeing if the side stand foot for a Royal Enfield Himalayan will fit the Royal Enfield Scram 411. So this is going on my bike, which is the new Scram 411 here in the UK. It's an EU spec bike, but I'm pretty sure all the side stands are the same. What I found was that the side stand foot on the stock bike is actually kind of small. Even where I live here in the Peak District, plenty of times you pull off the road and it's mud or gravel or something, and actually just having that slightly larger side stand foot does make quite a big difference when stopping the bike. Even at home, when I wheel the bike out of my garage, I have a gravel drive, and I've noticed that the side stand does dig in a bit. So I thought I'd try one of these, and I'll give you a close look so you can see what it's like. So first up, I thought I'd show you what the stock foot looks like. So this is my stock side stand, and as you can see, it's got this the end of it has kind of got a bit of metal that's been bent up and round. But what it does mean is that it's actually not that big. It's probably about the size of a UK postage stamp, a large stamp. And on soft ground, that's not great. Now there is this bit of wire above it, that little loop that comes out, which you use for extending it. But it's not great, and I think that would sink in as well. So that's why I'm looking at putting an extender on this, just so there's a bit more of a footprint when it goes on soft ground. So this is it. This is how I ordered this from eBay in India. I will put the seller's details in the description, but it's essentially 3 plates of metal held together with these 4 bolts. Just pop the bolts out. And the bolts all look like they're made of stainless steel with nylock nuts, which is a nice touch just to stop them from coming loose. So when I take that off, it's essentially these 3 pieces. So this top piece, a middle piece, and a bottom piece. Now for these 3 pieces, this is the one that goes against the ground. That's got the biggest shape. This is a middle piece, and that's kind of the cutout for the side stand foot itself, so that when that is put on top of there, the side stand foot actually fits in that gap. And this is the last piece which goes on top. And then all 3 bolt together with these 4 bolts, and in theory that should actually hold it all steady. So the foot itself actually rests up against that edge there. That simply is just a cover over the top to fit the foot itself. So just to show you how that would fit together on the bike itself, here's the bottom plate that goes underneath. This one is the plate that fits around the outside of that. That is a pretty good fit, so those 2 fit together. And then we run into a problem. So the problem we have is that first of all, this tab catches on the underside of there, so you can't actually lift it up enough to fit that over there. The second thing is that these 2 pieces in here, or the width between here and here, is actually too narrow, so you can't actually fit it over the top. Now this is a bit of a problem, and it means that these 2 pieces are fine, this piece is not. Now I have actually cheated, and I've done a bit of fettling, and I've managed to make this fit on another one. So what I'll do is I'll go and show you these 2 side by side, because I think that is probably more useful than me just showing you the finished product. I really should have videoed everything where I was grinding and cutting it, but honestly I didn't know how long it was going to take me. But just to show you on here, it's essentially to cut a line through there with an angle grinder, those 2 bits, and then to take a hacksaw and just cut this tab off just through there, because you don't really need that tab. Alright, I'll show you on the table what that looks like, and then I'll fit it to the bike. So now these are the 2 side by side. So this is the one as it comes. This is the one that I've butchered. Now if I take the top 2 pieces off, everything else underneath is exactly the same. So I'm just going to put those 2 pieces aside. So to look at these 2 side by side, hopefully you can see exactly where I've cut away. If I lay one over the top of the other, you can see that there's these exposed bits there that I chopped out. The other bit that I removed was the tab in here. So if you look on this one, no tab. On this one there is that tab. I did wonder whether that was actually holding the side stand on, but it seems to be pretty firm even without it. So to give you a quick look at this, the way I did it was I just cut these 2 pieces off with an angle grinder, and then actually put it in, clamped it in a vise vertically like that, and with a hacksaw just cut, if you imagine, just in through there, and just cut across the tab that way to get the piece like this. So yeah, a bit of a hack. I think it was all I could do given that I'd ordered the parts and they'd already arrived. I thought I'd make one fit, because I don't know how long it's going to take for somebody to make one specifically for the Scram. Right then, I'm now going to fit it back to the bike just to show you how that goes. So it's essentially that bit that way round, that goes on there, and I'll bolt it all together. So I'll show you how that looks. This bit might get done quite quickly. Okay, so here's the side stand, 3 pieces. That piece goes on the bottom like that. This piece goes in the middle, and that's the one that fits round like that. And if I show you with this piece, now that I've cut those bits out, you can actually place it over the top. So the problem before was the tab was up from here, which meant up against the bottom of the wire there, you couldn't fit it in there. Second problem is it wasn't wide enough to fit around this folded up bit. But with the side bits cut off and that bit in there, it all just goes together really well, and it is actually held. I know that it doesn't have the tab going up the front of there, but with everything else and the fact that that is actually even within that and it's butted up against the front there, it does seem to hold it securely enough. So I'll do it up really quickly. Here we go. So I'll just put the bolts in. Now these bolts, they're a bit awkward. They have a 2.5mm hex on the bottom and a 7mm nylock nut on the top. But I'll just do these up very, very quickly. So there you go, that is now on. It seems to work pretty well. It feels pretty solid. That's definitely not moving. It was fairly cheap for here anyway, for side stand extenders. They came in at about £15 I think, or £20 with all the postage and everything. There are, I think, a couple of problems with it. One of which is these bolts. Now I think it's fine when you put it on, but I think every time I put this down that's going to wear against the ground. So I do wonder if over time I'm going to get bits of grit and gravel or even stones stuck in them underneath, so if you ever need to take it off, could be a bit more difficult. Then again, bolts are fairly cheap and easy to come by, so I'm sure they could be replaced with something else if need be. That is kind of it in terms of what I'm going to do in this video. I am going to take it off again afterwards, spray it black, particularly just to stop any rust for the bits where I've had to cut and grind it. But as you can see, that looks pretty good. Let me just fold it up so you can get a proper look around it. So that's how it looks in the upright position. Next thing I'm just going to do is I'll just give you a quick look around. So yeah, in the upright position, just a view over the top. Just give you a look, see how it looks underneath. And you can see there, those 4 bolts just sticking out. So I think that's what I think might just pick up some mud and stones over time. So there you go, that's my video about whether or not a Himalayan Sidestand extender foot will fit the Royal Enfield Scram 411. Short answer, no it won't. If you've got a saw or an angle grinder and you can hack some bits off, then you can make it fit, and it fits very well. And until they make a real one for the bike that fits the foot, that might be the best option. And until then, you can either manage with it as stock or you can wait for somebody to make one. I'm sure they will be along before now, especially when it's such a small modification to this in order to make it fit. I hope this has been interesting and useful. If it has, maybe I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.